Welcome everyone to this video where we're going to be discussing kind of the structure and process of the group, the writing support group, how it's going to work, what we're going to be doing, and so on. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about a couple primary things. One is we want to kind of walk you through what's the structure of the call going to be, how are we going to do our monthly calls, and what are we going to be doing. And then we'll talk a little bit as well about everything outside of the calls for the rest of the month, so that we have an understanding of how the group as a whole fits together. So Adam, do you want to talk a little bit about the structure of the calls themselves?
Sure. First of all, people need to understand that we're only going to have 8 people maximum in the call, and plus ourselves, so that would be 10. But 8 writers in the call, so it's a small enough group that you're going to be able to get some FaceTime, airtime, talking about your project and sharing about your project with the group. The first thing we'll do is we'll kick off every meeting with just a status update on what's gone on in the last month. What that means is you're going to share basically how much you got done, what some of your successes were, and we're going to celebrate that together and cheer each other on. You're going to maybe say a few things about what some of the challenges were to getting your progress done, and to give us an idea of what might need to be, what troubleshooting we might need to do. And each person will have, since we only have an hour, each person's going to have 1 to 2 minutes to tackle that, and that's going to basically take us through the first quarter of the hour. So then what do we?
So then we'll spend kind of the middle of the call discussing one of the shared topics from this video series, and that's one of the main reasons, like we said before, that we're doing these videos, so that we can save time on the call. And instead of having the two of us go on about a topic and doing the input side of things, we'll have already designated the topic of one of these videos as the focus for the call. Everyone will have a chance to watch it beforehand, and then that way on the call, we'll spend about the middle third or so of the call just discussing our thoughts about the topic, how that has fit into our writing or doesn't fit into our writing, and just sort of processing it together, gleaning from each other's experiences, and so on. And I expect that portion of the call will probably be really, really fruitful and a lot of fun.
Yep.
So where to from there?
Well, from there, we'll do any troubleshooting that we really have to do on the fly as coaches. And then when we're done troubleshooting, basically, if we're at the 45-minute mark at that point, where we're going to spend the middle half hour of the call doing what you just described, then we're going to go into goal setting for the next month, where each person has beforehand should have looked at what their calendar is looking like coming up, what their schedule is going to be, and setting goals for themselves, and then just basically reporting to the group, here's what I plan to do in the next 30 days or 28 days, whatever your situation is, to the next call, and setting goals. And we'll take note of those and give people some final encouragement, and that's about it.
Yep.
So, Justin, why aren't we spending a lot of time critiquing?
No, that's a really good question, and it's one of the kind of inevitable tendencies once you get a group of writers together talking about their writing. You just naturally start to incline towards like discussing your actual writing. But as we said in our intro video, our purpose for starting this group is to provide a kind of support structure that we haven't found anywhere else before now. There are other groups available that are just about writing critique, and in just a minute, I'm going to talk about ways that we might incorporate some of that into our overall process. But what we really want to focus on is support, encouragement, and accountability to help you get your writing done. We're assuming that everybody who's part of this group is serious enough about the writing process that you're investing your own time in kind of improving as a writer, overcoming obstacles. And some of those issues are just naturally going to come up through some of our focus on talking about different aspects of good writing and good story structure and all of that as part of the group. But we want to do as much as we can to keep the group from becoming another big to-do item, another big task that actually gets in the way of you getting your book done. So instead of having you read, 8 or 9 other pieces of writing every month that you need to read and think about as homework to, share your thoughts on, and that kind of taking out away from your writing time, we want to really focus on making the group a supportive structure for you to meet your goals, and then get some positive reinforcement and process a bit as you run into obstacles, but continue to just keep that focus on helping you make progress in getting your writing done and being productive.
Yes, and we want the same thing for ourselves. We want writing time for ourselves. So we're not committing to reading a lot of your stuff, and that's what a content editor and a proofreader are for. And so a lot of people, and we can talk about this in another video at some point, but a lot of people suggest writing your first draft in private and not sharing stuff with people. And so when we're working on first draft stuff, you don't necessarily need critique anyway. You just need to work. Mm-hmm. And we need to work too. We have books that we need to finish. And so this group isn't about us critiquing your work. Now, I think that probably both of us could be paid additionally to do that, but that's not really primarily what we're here for. And neither of us, I shouldn't speak for Justin, but I'm not an editor or a proofreader, and that's not what I aspire to do. So, Justin?
Yeah. I like you said, professionally speaking, I certainly would be open to being hired to sort of edit and proofread. That's actually something I've been getting more into and really enjoying. But like you said, Adam, it's not something that we are needing to offer as part of this group structure. And I think you said it really well, because when you're getting a draft done, that's not the time that you need input. That's not the time that you need feedback. What you need is a structure that helps you get more words on the page until you're finished, and then you have a complete manuscript. And then, frankly, there are other, better, more professional structures in place that are available to you to work on processing, editing, and refining a finished manuscript. So what we're wanting to provide is that unique thing that we have not found for ourselves, that we both at Registered, man, we would really like a context, a group context that provides that encouragement and sort of internal support with the getting it done business. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. With that said, we are planning to offer to a probably virtual sort of structure and location for group members to interact with each other. And if they want to swap stuff back and forth to read, or just to kind of keep in touch on a more ongoing basis in between the calls, we'll have an online space for you to be able to do that, but it'll be entirely voluntary. And I have a feeling that if we see people spending lots and lots of time on that, swapping stuff, and then we get around to the monthly calls and your report is, oh, I didn't get my writing target done this month, that might be something we bring up as a point of maybe you should spend less time sort of sharing things and reading back and forth and whatnot, and more time kind of getting the writing done. So we'll have something in place for that, but it's not going to be the primary focus of the group.
Yeah. And so, Justin, you're moving more towards the editing and proofreading side, and I'm probably leaning more towards if people need additional one-on-one coaching support, that might be a good place where I can provide additional input and assistance. And I'm sure you can too. So we'll see how that goes. And guys, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun because you're going to get books done. That's it.
Let's get going.